This is Twit. This may be the last interview Steve Ballmer ever gives, and you've got it. You can see it on Fortune magazine, fortune.cnn.com. And I understand there's more to come.
Yes, more to come.
Do you know how you got? I mean, I know why you got picked. You're great, but did they say anything?
You know what? I would love to know how this all came to be. I've been asking for 20 years to talk to Steve Ballmer. It had been 20 years as of August since I had gotten to talk to him in person.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I'm not really sure why that happened. I have some theories, but I don't really know. And then after I got to talk to him in August, that was when he announced he was resigning as CEO. I started already right then putting in bids, and I said, I want one more interview with him before he leaves. I want one more. But I wasn't the only one doing that. Everybody's doing that. Yeah. All the journalists want the last interview, right?
Sure.
So I just kind of was petitioning, giving ideas about what I would write if I got to talk to him. And they called me just before Thanksgiving and said, okay, fly to Redmond. You got him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was great. It was kind of awesome. Yeah. And I didn't get just him, which was even more interesting. They also gave me a few of the other people who were very instrumental in the story that I ended up writing, which is kind of his legacy story. And I got to talk to Brad Smith, who runs all of legal for Microsoft. And I also got to talk to Satya Nadella, who runs the cloud and enterprise team and is still rumored to be one of the finalists to replace Steve Ballmer. And the one I was most interested that Microsoft helped me get an interview with was Robbie Bach, who used to run the Xbox business at Microsoft before he retired a couple years ago.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I got to interview all these people face to face. I had Ballmer for 45 minutes in his office, which was very cool.
Nice office.
Really nice office. It's a really kind of big office. He's gone paperless, so there's no desk in there. There's just these two giant screen perceptive pixel displays on two walls and a big flat screen TV hooked up to his Xbox on the other wall.
Oh, but this is probably like the Oval Office, the presentation office. And then there's a little cubby hole where he goes in and he's got a desk and a computer and isn't actually working.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, how nice. Corner office, Microsoft, CEO. Yeah. So tell all. How was he dressed?
There's a lot of funny stories about this interview. So I got to go to Building 34, which is where all the executives sit, who are the top executives, right? So we're walking down the hall, and I'm looking at the nameplates on all the doors, and there's Tony Bates' office. There's Lisa Brummel's office.
Wow.
And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Then I went into Ballmer's office, and he has all these like upholstered chairs in there. So he just plunks down in an upholstered chair, and he's wearing his usual trademark khakis and button-down shirt. And he just kind of kicks back and looks like he's in his living room, like having a conversation. Like it was definitely not a formal interview at all.
And so he was relaxed. He was
very relaxed. And this was interesting to me because a few weeks before I got to interview him, the Wall Street Journal got to interview him. And they described the situation for them was he was very agitated and he still wasn't sure. He was very emotional. But when I talked to him, I felt like he's at peace now with the decision to move forward. And he just felt kind of like two people chatting, really. He didn't feel like he had a lot of regrets. He felt very reflective, but not teary or not like nostalgic at all. He definitely just felt like, I'm here to talk about my legacy. Let's chat.
Do you get a sense that he maybe is trying to craft a legacy, that he's trying to craft a story about his legacy?
Definitely.
Here's what I did.
Yep. He was very adamant when I interviewed him about talking about his successes, as one would if you were trying to craft a legacy story. He talked a lot about, a lot of people have a lot of criticism of me, but look at what I did while I was here. I tripled revenues. I doubled profits. I made some really good acquisitions. So he was very adamant in that I'm not here to say I made a lot of mistakes, although I definitely will acknowledge I did make some, but I did a lot of things right, and I want to get credit for it.
To be fair, if he didn't make some mistakes, then he wasn't trying enough, right? I mean...
Good point, yeah.
You don't want somebody... How long was his tenure as CEO? 15 years? Something like that?
13.
13?
Yeah, 13 years.
You don't expect somebody 13 years running a massive company like that not to make some mistakes.
Right. And we talked about that too. We talked a lot about what his regrets were and where he thought he did make mistakes, things that he would have done differently if he had another chance. The big one, as he told me in August, was Longhorn, which became Windows Vista. And he talked a lot about it wasn't the operating system itself that was the mistake, but the whole process in creating it and leading up to it that was the mistake. He said he felt like he kind of let it fall through the cracks almost. He didn't have anybody who was really paying attention to how it had gotten off track and how they had tried something too ambitious to pull off. He actually said to me in a very candid statement, he said, I wasn't really paying attention to it. Oh. Neither was Bill Gates and neither was Jim Alchin, who was running it. And it kind of fell through the cracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
How could you not pay attention to what must have been their biggest initiative at the time?
I know. Well, it was right at the beginning of his CEO-ship, and I think he was still, he kept saying to me, he said it a few times, I'm not a tech guy. He said, I'm a business guy. I came up through the sales ranks, and that doesn't mean I don't know anything about tech, but I'm much more attuned to looking at the bottom line and doing business reviews more than I am, say, to looking at some code and saying, oh, this is in trouble over here.
You say in your article in Fortune that what he feels he brought to the table was a business rigor.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That was lacking before. With Bill Gates, it's very technically focused.
Right. He said to me, and this too is interesting. He said, Bill Gates obviously cared about making money as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
He wasn't just a tech guy.
He was keeping score.
He was. But, the thing that Ballmer did that I think a lot of people forget is he really brought this very regimented approach to how you look at a business and decide, is this a business where we can make money? And that was one of the stories he told me about the Xbox, which I didn't know at all. When he came in as CEO, Bill Gates had already said, I'm super excited about the Xbox. We're doing this.
Really?
But it was actually Steve Ballmer's call. Are we going to do this or not? And he conducted a 6-month business review with Robbie Bach and a couple other people. And Ballmer said, it was my call. Like if I had said after the business review, I don't think we should do this, we weren't going to do it.
Well, he was a CEO by then. So
he was a CEO. And this was one of his very first big decisions as a CEO. Like, do we spend a ton of money and take on Sony in the living room?
And I wonder, had they known what a deficit it would have been for so long, if they would have said yes, but maybe. That's a gutsy move, a Ballmery.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did talk about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked a lot about that because he said he decided that he really trusted the team who was building the Xbox with Robbie Bach and his minions and other engineers. And so he just said to them, you go build the right thing for the market and I'll have your back, basically. And when it started, being apparent that they were going to take a loss on the console because they were in a price war with Sony, Ballmer just said, guys, I've got this under control. I know this is going to happen. Take it easy. And he just stuck with them every step of the way. Robbie Bach told me, no matter what was going on, Steve just said, look, just do this, make it excellent. And I know we're going to lose money at this point, and I wish we weren't going to lose money, but we are. And so he did tell me that his regret around the Xbox was it took them a while to become profitable. He said, I wish we could have been profitable faster, obviously. And I wish we could be at the point architecture-wise where we are with the Xbox One.
Yes.
And I wish we could have gotten there sooner.
Yes.
But otherwise, he said, I think we did the right thing, and I'm really glad we got in the console market and into the living room that way.